What's up, guys? Your agent Tyler Wehrung here, and today we're going to do something a little different. We're going to do kind of a coaching call, if you will, or me answering a question on video. So I usually do a lot of this in the comments, in the chats or DMs. Folks reach out to me in lots of different ways, but I kind of just answer it there. But I thought I get a lot of very similar questions. So this one, Drew reached out to me and hit me with this question. I thought, man, this would be a great case study or a coaching call to kind of answer this on video and help a lot of folks that are probably in this same situation. So I'm going to read Drew's question and then we'll jump in. But before I do that, I just want to shout out to Drew. Appreciate everything you're doing. Appreciate the support. He's active duty Air Force, so that was my life at one time as well. So definitely support and appreciate your service there. And this kid is crushing it. I think he's 20 years old, used his first VA loan to get started in real estate investing, and already has a rental under his belt at 20 years old, and is looking to get out of this. So get out of his HELOC specifically. So let's jump into his question. All right, I saw your YouTube channel. I was very interested. I was wondering if you could maybe guide me in the right direction from the situation I'm in. I recently took out a HELOC on my primary residence and have used it for a down payment on a townhouse. So we talk about this all the time. This is how we kind of use the HELOC to leverage it for opportunities such as a BRRRR. So he says, I did a little bit of reno, not much, just floors and such. Have a renter in there now. Purchase price was $200, mortgage $1,100, rent $1,800. Want to move forward with getting more properties, but don't really know where to go from here. Heard you say never keep a HELOC for longer than 12 months, so I'm not sure how to move forward. All right, so real quick, just kind of break this down. The reason I say you never want to keep a HELOC long term is because it's a variable interest only payment back to the bank. So I like to use it to get into something, but I want to get back out so then I can use that same HELOC again and again and keep it moving, keep that high velocity of money. But I don't like to keep things in interest only payments that are variable. You know, the interest rates and HELOCs jump all around, and I'll link to a video over here or over here, wherever they put it, where I talk about what drives HELOC interest rates. But just that's why I say not to keep it longer than 12 months. So he basically pulled a HELOC out on his primary residence because he has a good chunk of equity. He went and bought a townhouse, and now he's kind of stuck. We're thinking, how do I scale from here? So so first off, like I said before, crushing it, and you know, this is really off to a great start. So let's jump over to the deal check analysis software that I use to analyze deals, and I'll kind of walk you guys through how I think about this process. So I did chat with him offline and got a little bit more details about the situation so I could best answer the question. So this is basically the analysis that he's in right now. So we looked at, he bought it for $200. We did a rough ARV of $240. He put 20% down, so he pulled a $60K HELOC out, put 40% down on this property. He got $499 interest and a 30-year term. So this is kind of what his rough analysis looks like on this rental property. So this is his townhouse. So he put this $40,000 down out of his HELOC. He's cash flowing right now around $300 a month. So cash on cash return is pretty good. Yeah, you know, right in line with where I like to buy. So as is, this will be good. But the thing is, he's also making a HELOC interest only payment, and it doesn't go towards principal, so it really is not benefiting him at all right now. So we got to think about, how do we get that HELOC paid back off, stabilize this so that it cash flows forever. It has a fixed interest rate, long-term debt that amortizes, so he's eventually paying principal down every month, or in fact his tenants are paying principal down every month. That's kind of the beauty with real estate. So all right, so he did the right thing to get into this property. Now how do we stabilize it so then he can have his seed money back to go out and do this again and again and again? All right, so this is what we're going to look at here. So he's got $40,000 out that we need to figure out, how do we pay that money back? All right, so we need to, so right now he has $160,000. That's what his mortgage balance is on this townhouse. And now we have to figure out how to get enough money to pay this back. So we pull the handy dandy calculator up here, and we're going to say $160,000 plus $40,000. So we take equals $200,000. So we take his current loan balance plus what he wants to pay off. this down payment money. And so we need a new loan for this amount in order to satisfy his current balance and get a check back at closing to go ahead and pay that HELOC off. So, all right, so he needs a loan for $200,000. So here's the question. Here's where a lot of people get stuck. I need a loan for $200,000. What does my property have to appraise for in order for me to get a loan for $200,000? And since he already knows that he has a bank relationship where he has to put 20% down, or the inverse of 20% is 80% loan to value, okay? So if you don't know this, you need to be networking with banks, understanding what your financing options are for rental property, because they will be different than your financing options for a primary residence. So if you haven't figured that out, step one is to figure out what someone is willing to lend to you on. What are the terms? So you need to know your loan to value, your terms. You know, are you able to get a full 30-year fixed rate? I typically don't get those they're not very competitive in my market, but Drew here has one. So the way you do that at 80% LTV is you divide by 0.8. I won't get into why, I just know that that works. But if you had a 75% LTV, you just divide the loan amount that you need divided by 0.75. So in this example, like I said, for Drew, we're doing 0.8. So basically, he needs the property to appraise for $250,000. And in order for the bank to feel comfortable with a 20% equity position, so 20% of 250 is the 200 we need here. So this is where it kind of gets tricky. So we needed to appraise for 250. He thought that the ARV was 240 when he got it. So we're kind of in a little bit of a limbo here. So what I would do if I was in his situation is reach out to a realtor, someone who's close to the area. You know, most realtors would likely be able to help you out here and say, hey, you think I'm closer to 240, 250? He did send me some pictures of the work he's done. It looks very nice. It has a very stabilized tenant in it. So let's just assume in this example that he can get 250. We'll talk a little bit about options if he can't, but so right now, $250,000 appraisal would then, let's see what, you have to consider what your post-refinance cash flow is going to look like here. So in DealCheck, and again, you can likely figure this out in any other software you use, but as you know, for many reasons, I use DealCheck. I'll link to another video I shot, like I said, in one of these directions with why I love this product so much. But let's go here. So you can do, financing, you can do a custom loan amount to run different scenarios. So it'll keep everything else the same, but you can change this. So I'm going to do a custom loan amount. We want the loan amount to be $200. Again, that will give him his $160 to satisfy his current balance, and the $40,000. He'll get a check for $40,000 at closing to go there and pay that HELOC. So, but we don't know if this is going to work out. So the way you do that, so now we told DealCheck run this analysis as if you had a loan amount of $200. We go back to property analysis. And what you want to see here is you need to be cash flow positive. All right, if you're cash flow negative, you really just you can't scale, because let's say you have to come. He's making $98 a month. Let's say he had to come out of pocket $100 a month. You might be able to do that, you know, for a short amount of time. But let's say you stack 5 or 10 of these up. You're not going to be able to write a check for $1,000 a month, or you don't want to be in that position. But if you cash flow positive, you can effectively do this up to 100 properties, and it's scalable, right? You can do this as far as you need it. All right. So let's just say in that example, if he needed a loan amount of 240, and we would have come up here and done property analysis, we would have said, hey, this just isn't possible with those numbers. So let's go back and change it. Change our loan amount back to 200. Boom. And I know some of you might be thinking, all right, $98 a month in cash flow. Like, why'd he do all this work for $98? All right. So the beautiful part of that is this right here. Your cash on cash return is infinity. That means, you know, you can't get a better return than that. All right. And this is year one cash flow. Okay. So you have to consider this if you're doing this in the long term. So he has a property that he'll now have $0 into. It's basically a free property. His second free property at that. His first one was a VA loan. So he put 0% down on that and then leveraged that equity into this one. But we're also looking at year one here. So this was in a decent neighborhood. He's got high-end fixtures. It looks very nice. And we start to look at, if we look at the buy and hold projections, we look at a 5-10 year hold on this thing. I mean, the numbers are stupid, okay? I mean, every year your rent's likely going to increase, especially with the crazy inflation rates that we're in right now. So we look at 5 years, his operating income, is jumping pretty significantly. His cash flow is almost doubling, actually more than doubling in 5 years is what he'll be making. Obviously, with tax deductions and benefits there, equity. So in year 5, he's sitting on 100K in equity for something that he has zero money into. A little bit of work up front, replacing floors, paint, things like that. And then you look out 10, 20 years. I mean, the power of real estate just gets even more beneficial the longer you hold it. So we start to look out projections. That's why you do this. So it might not look, outstanding in year 1, but again, this is a great deal. Anytime you get all your cash back and you still get cash flow positive every month, that's a win-win in my book. So let's talk about a couple things. So if the realtor comes back and says, look, your ARV is actually 240, you can't refinance for that. So you got a couple options here. So he was making, if you'll remember here in his original example, not ARV, sorry, undo that. His original loan amount here was, let's see, I think 160. So he's cash flowing $300 a month. All right, so how many months would he have to go to pay the difference down if it was only 245, or 245 that he could his value would be? So one option is take your cash flow, apply it towards principal to pay that down, so that even if your appraisal comes in a little bit lower than expected, you need less because you've paid your principal down. Or you can have it sitting in a bank account so that when you refi, you can take the difference to pay that HELOC back off. Or you can just hang on a little longer. I know my guideline or my rule of thumb is 12 months on HELOCs, but I mean, if you have to go, 15 months or a little bit longer than that, the point is, why I really just pick that number is, don't set it and forget it. This isn't like a fixed interest rate 30-year mortgage where you just set it up, put it on autopilot, and move to the next one. You need to have an active plan to get out of your HELOC. So if this property doesn't appraise for 250 and it needs to go a year and a half to then have this asset that you have zero money into, or even that you've put 10,000 into, if he needs to leave 10,000 in or just save up the difference to move on and be able to reuse that HELOC again, it's still a win in my book. So I hope that's helpful, Drew, to give you some analysis here. Again, 20 years old, you have 2 properties that you'll have $0 into. Your net worth is going to start shooting off the charts, and like I told you, you probably don't even realize how far ahead you are when compared to your peer group. So if I had to give you any feedback here, I'd say you want to sharpen your pencil a little bit, do a little bit more analysis on the front end so that you're not cutting it so close and needing to get that highest appraisal in order for this whole thing to work out. You are also self-managing, so that saves you a little bit here. But you want to start to factor in what a property manager is going to be like, especially being in the military, getting sent all over the world like I did. You definitely don't want to rely on yourself to manage that. So start underwriting with property management baked in. Get yourself some better deals, but you have a ton of leverage and things on your side in order to really just take off. So keep up the good work. If I missed something or I didn't answer your question all the way, drop it in the comments below. And if anyone else had questions, drop those down below. And I try to answer every comment. I truly give some thought into everyone. I don't just give you the blanket thank you, thumbs up deal like I see a lot of other folks do. So guys, if you got anything out of this, as always, a like or subscribe would be greatly appreciated. And let me know what you think about these kind of coaching calls, if you will. I'm definitely not a coach by any means, but try to always help people out and give insight that I wish I had when I was in their position. So if you like this style, let me know. Let me know it's beneficial, because I get lots of questions that I can start doing these on. So with that, guys, we'll go ahead and wrap. I'm Tyler Wehrung, and we'll catch you next time.